the player in this squad impresses against the players in the other squad, that's a big thumbs up for anyone trying to get into that final World Cup squad, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't count any. Well, I'd count maybe some of them out just based on experience and age, but there's definitely several players, Mikolai probably being one of them, who's definitely pushing for a place in the senior squad, I would say.
Yeah. Brisbane Broncos centre, though, Herbie Farnworth, he's been stood down from the England senior squad. Head coach Sean Wayne explained, "I keep a very close eye on the NRL and enjoy regular contact with the England squad players down under. The players know the standard expecting of them as England players. Herbie's standard have dipped below what I expect. It's as simple as that." I mean, he didn't play for 2 weeks, and hasn't he scored a try in the game that he's been back since then? So
yeah. This
seems a bit weird. So I'm wondering if it's something else that he's not done that Sean Wayne's been expecting of him.
Well, it just, I mean, I haven't seen anything, but just from reading it, just fresh then, or it sounds off-field rather than on-field to me.
Yeah, I wonder.
Standards expected of them. It's not a Brisbane are shit, and you're not pulling your weight. It's it felt like it might be an off-field thing, either something that he was expecting as in terms of his involvement in the I don't know, Zoom calls or whatever. I don't know.
Who knows?
Pass. But yeah,
because if it was on-field stuff, I'm pretty sure Sean Wayne would have been issuing a statement today saying Toby King's out after falling for that Abdul dummy. In fact, not even falling for it, just completely letting the play go down the blind side.
But yes, I think there's more to it than on-field stuff.
Another big story, one that we've got plenty of time to talk about, Alan, but do you want to tell us about this one? And we've got plenty of fan views on it too.
Yeah, so Castle Tigers have appointed former Hull FC boss Lee Radford to succeed Darryl Powell as head coach from the 2022 season onwards. Radford, 42, left his role at Hull in March 2020, having previously guided them to back-to-back Challenge Cup final successes in 2016 and 2017. The former England Bradford and Hull forward will replace Warrington-bound Powell at the end of the year. So yeah, as you said, lots of fan views on this one. First one is from Always in Our Shadow. We still have the bed sheet if Pistol League want to borrow it.
And Lee Whitnell said, "A great time to get into the bed sheet business in Castleford."
Get down to Tony's Textiles. St David says, "League pissing on a long hold."
But David Hunter says, "Was he really that bad at FC? He will probably do a decent job of it, but there is so much instability in the club and I am not sure he is a stabilising coach. Liam Watts is not a fan."
Lee Radford's shiny new tooth says, "As a Hull fan, I'm indebted to Lee Radford and what he achieved at Hull. Undoubtedly the most successful coach at FC in the past 25 years. His brand of rugby wasn't for everyone, but Hull played their best rugby in 2016 and 17, and with a similar squad, he has a chance of the same results. I hope Cas fans have an open mind and heart for Lee, who will have the same for this role. I'm happy to take Liam Watts back to avoid any unpleasantness."
And Tom Andrews said, "The Cass-Hulford connection really does run deep. Harsh criticism by the Cass faithful. The man's won 2 more trophies than Powell has." Well, that's one true. More. Powell won a League Leaders Shield.
That's true, yeah.
Do you think the criticism's more about the expectation of the style of play? Because even when Hull were at their best in that period of winning those 2 cups, it wasn't always from flashy, exciting, open rugby. It was from, Danny Houghton's relentless tackling, Mark Snide's not forgotten left boot kicking 40-20s in Challenge Cup finals, Mahe Fanua overpowering smaller wingers, that sort of stuff, wasn't it? Not necessarily flashy, free-flowing, brilliant, beautiful line-running rugby.
No, and if I was in the Castleford Academy, I wouldn't be expecting a call up to the senior squad next year. It
was interesting, actually, that he made a point of talking about trying to bring through young players when he was interviewed on Sky ahead of the match on Friday night, because I had to sort of take a second glance and then remember how all of these Hull players that people are saying are good now, like Jordan Lane, didn't get a chance really under Radford.
Well, maybe he's had time to think about it.
Yeah.
And what the mistakes that he made. I mean,
or budgetary constraints will be more severe. He won't have a choice.
Well, maybe not. It's a very strange situation in terms of like, well, at least if any kind of player who's looking to re-sign a contract, they can't say they don't know who the coach is for next year, can they? So, there's all kind of cards are on the table in terms of what their approach is going to be. It's going to be perhaps not the most glamorous ever, but it'll be kind of, it'll be, honest and, trying their best, even if it might be a little bit limited, perhaps.
Yeah, there was always the odd questions, weren't there, about how he did things at Hull. Kind of, not just was the style of play always that exciting, or was he not bringing through youngsters, but of course there was the famous dressing room lockout. There was, the way he was fired from the club. So there's things there that you think he'll have to do differently, but hopefully he will have learned. That was his first head coaching gig after all, and he won 2 trophies in that role. That's 2 more major finals won than clubs of almost every other, than almost every other coach of every other club that isn't Wigan, Saints, and Warrington and Leeds, really. So he's got some success behind him. I don't think it's as abysmal appointment as some people might worry, but at the same time, I don't expect Cass to be as exciting a team to watch for the neutral over the next 2 to 3 years.
Probably not, but if Cass have, as you say, if Cass have a couple more trophies in the cabinet in 5 years' time, I don't think they'll be too bothered, to be honest.
Even one more, just beating Leeds every year, that's a trophy for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Daryl Powell will take his Castleford backroom staff to Warrington from 2022 onwards. That's another thing for Lee Radford to sort out at Cass. Earlier this month, Warrington announced that Powell will become the club's head coach on a 3-year deal from next year, and now the Wolves have announced that Ryan Sheridan, Danny Evans and Steve Mills will follow him to the Halliwell Jones. Sheridan and Evans will be Powell's assistant coaches, with Mills being head of analysts.
Yeah, he's getting the band back together. Not entirely surprising.
No.
St Helens have agreed to allow 2 of their younger squad players to go out on loan to other clubs. Josh Eves has joined Wakefield Trinity, while Nico Rizzelli has linked up with Swinton Lions in the Championship. Both moves are initially for 2 weeks, which are then reviewed on a week-by-week basis.
And in other loan news, Huddersfield have sent duo Ronan Michael and George Roby out on loan. Michael, who made his Super League debut for the Giants against Wigan last year, has joined Championship Whitehaven on a 2-week loan deal, whilst Roby, who's only 18 and joined the Huddersfield club ahead of this season on a 2-year deal, will go and join League One's North Wales Crusaders on a season-long loan deal.
Hull will be without prop Josh Bowden for up to 6 weeks due to his injury. The 29-year-old, who's made 168 appearances, suffered a hyperextended elbow in their win over Wakefield last Friday.
St Helens have confirmed that they could be without prop Matty Lees for up to 11 weeks. The 23-year-old recently underwent surgery on his ankle after he left the field midway through the first half of their Challenge Cup game against Leeds.
And more injury news. Catalan Dragons forward Matt Whitley is facing a layoff after sustaining a neck injury in his size 24-8 defeat by Warrington. Never a good news, neck injuries.
No, let's hope it's treated fully.
Yeah.
Toulouse are set to switch their home championship game against Widnes to Haywood Road, the home of Swinton, because of the impact of the pandemic, and I guess because Widnes can't tackle anyone. Part-time teams were given dispensation by the RFL to not travel to fans if they were told by the UK government they would have to go into quarantine on their return. Saturday's home game against Featherstone, of course, this last weekend was postponed, but is likely to be rearranged for later in the year. But Toulouse's match against Widnes will now take place 24 hours later than originally scheduled on Sunday, May the 9th, as part of a double header with Swinton playing Bradford at 11:45. The French club will cover the cost of staging the match and will also pay the production cost to enable it to be shown on the R-League app, in return for 90% of the pay-per-view income from that match. I think it's good that they're going to play, because otherwise they would have had another long break, wouldn't they? Which doesn't seem sensible at this stage.
Yeah, makes complete sense. And yeah, again, it's, French team showing flexibility, which is good for them.
Yeah, they have to be applauded, don't they? Along with Catalans, with the cost they're having to go through to play in the Challenge Cup this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll probably buy it just so they get a little bit of income. Carcassonne halfback Lucas Albert will join Toulouse at the end of the French Elite Championship season. The 22-year-old arrived at the Canaries from Catalan at the end of the 2020 season. Albert, who's won 5 caps for France, will join Toulouse until the end of the season. I'm just repeating the same thing again. So when the Elite Championship finishes, I'm not sure when that is, he'll be joining Toulouse.
It's the end of this month normally, isn't it? I think. Can't remember. Oldham have announced the signing of centre Jack Croft on a season-long loan deal from Wakefield. Croft, who's 20, has made 8 Super League appearances, as well as 2 in the Challenge Cup for Wakefield, and made 2 appearances for Oldham on dual reg last year, before obviously the season was shut down. He joins Matt Diskin's side to help cover injuries to Ben Heaton, whilst Cam Leeming recently announced his retirement. So they needed a centre, and Wakefield decided that Jack Croft isn't good enough to play ahead of second rowers in the centre in their side, so off he goes.
There you go. So, onto League One, North Wales Crusaders will play their home games at Stadium Zip World. That sounds like the worst theme park in the world. In Colwyn Bay this season. Crusaders are unable to play at Wrexham's Queensway Stadium, their home since 2017, due to COVID-19 regulations. We've had to adapt on and off the field because of the pandemic, but this move creates so many opportunities for the club, said Crusaders chief executive Andy Mulsdale.
Mark Butler got in touch though with a fan's view on this move. So thanks, Mark, for getting in touch with this. He said, it's clear that they've had to take action at short notice and a really good ground has been secured. There is a flip side though. After a decade in Wrexham, moving an hour away is quite significant. All the more so as the club was actively looking for something else 2 years ago and might not want to come back. The club's fan base has been thinned out a few times already due to various factors, to the point where another thinning makes it hard to see survival. Rugby league clubs that get into the ground hopping habit rarely hit upon a load of new fans, but do lose a few. Given that Super League clubs will be keeping Sky cash for themselves from now on, as well as maintaining a club in the semi-pro ranks already looks a challenge without upping sticks. Maybe the positive moves made in the community game this year are the real future of rugby league in North Wales anyway. But good luck to them though. There is an opportunity for the club to build something a bit more concrete in Colwyn Bay, but I do edge towards it being something that could be a final shove out of the pro ranks.
That is useful insight, that I would say. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure where Colwyn Bay is. It's not near Wrexham, I know that.
It's not a million miles away though, is it? It's like on the shore, I'm guessing. Do you know what? I've never actually been to Colwyn Bay. I've been to like Rhyl and places like that, but Colwyn Bay not so much. It's home to the Welsh Mountain Zoo. It's a good hour up the A55 away from Wrexham. So it is a bit of a trip. You go past Prestatyn and past Rhyl, the more famous holiday destinations, I think, and it's just before Llandudno. Right. So I think it gives an opportunity for away fans to think more about going to games against North Wales. I think that's a potential positive money-making aspect to this. Hopefully they're on a better deal if they were already looking to move stadiums anyway. And I know it's not always been great, has it? Their situation in Wrexham. They played at a really ropey ground, didn't they? That was basically not much different to where the Warrington and all the women's games are being played at the moment, it felt like. But yeah, hopefully it's a chance to not a new start, but a rebuild. But like Mark says, most times these moves end up in you losing fans rather than gaining fans.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough. And I think